Hello everyone, the Mr. Miney here, and welcome back to the Tintin series retrospective. Last time we looked at Tintin and the Blue Lotus, and today we're going to be taking a look at Tintin and the Broken Ear, published from 1935 to 1937. In this book, we're following Tintin as he tracks down a fetish stolen from a museum with a distinct broken ear. This ends up taking him to South America in a made-up country called San Theodores. Here he gets involved in a civil war, but the real focus of the book stays on Tintin trying to figure out where the fetish came from and why all these people are after it. The Civil War in the book was actually based on things happening in a few South American countries at the time, and the Arumbaya fetish was based on a real statue that he saw in a museum. But back to the book. How does it hold up as a Tintin adventure? Very well, surprisingly well, in fact. It has a good amount of intelligent mystery elements, which is one of my favorite parts of Tintin. Just following Tintin and watching the ways that he solves the mysteries is always one of my favorite parts, especially if the mystery isn't basic and you actually have to think, which in this book you actually have to do. And it's not all just mindless action, but speaking of action, the book also has a lot of good action, from car chases to shootouts, or more escape and capture for the 20th time in the series. I mean, okay, maybe that isn't the best part of the action, because that already has happened 20 times in the series, but other than that, there was some really good action, so thumbs up on that regard. Hergé did a really impressive job on this book, considering Tintin was the only real character to prop it up. In later novels in the series, which were great, probably even better than this novel, he had a plethora of supporting cast members to choose from to freshen up the novel. I mean, you had Captain Haddock, Professor Calculus, but we can get to all those people later. But despite recurring villains and General Alcazar, there wasn't very much of a noteworthy supporting cast in this book. There were a few interesting characters here and there, but they really didn't last long in the book, and they didn't really matter that much. On the topic of characters, I might as well talk about the villains. These two guys are really just alright. They're our main villains for the novel, although we do have a few kind of villains throughout the novel, but they're really the main ones. Basically, they're also after the Arumbaya fetish for a secret diamond, which is revealed to be hidden in the fetish later in the book. And although it's interesting to watch Tintin try and find out why they're going after him, in the end, they seem kind of clueless. They kind of remind me of Thompson and Thompson in a way, the villain version of Thompson and Thompson. But at least they're somewhat competent. I mean, they managed to capture Tintin, I think, a few times, and they are a few steps ahead of him in multiple places. We also get to introduce to General Alcazar, who will pop up in later books, but in this book, for now, he doesn't really do much. Another element of this book that I really liked is the comedy relief. There was a very good amount of it in this book. Not too much that it got overly annoying, but there were a lot of moments in this book that were really surprisingly funny. So that was another element I wanted to put in before I start and go complaining about the few things I didn't like. There's not that much of a point in nitpicking, since overall this is a great book. So let's get started. First of all, how many times can you miss with a knife? And this really demonstrates the crux of my complaint with the book. It has too many unrealistic moments. Yeah, it's Tintin, but it gets a little out of hand for me. But in the end, I can excuse that, since it is my only real problem. But it does make me a little pissed off at some of the points in the book were just overly silly, and the villains were overly clueless at points, and that kind of takes you out of the book for a little bit. Overall, I'm going to give this book, and I'm happy to give this book, our very first ever Tintin Approved rating. I really debated whether or not I wanted to give a very high, can I have some more, or a very low Tintin Approved rating, but I feel like there's enough cool mystery elements to outweigh the unfortunate amount of unrealism in the book, which kind of pisses me off, although it is Tintin. But yeah, this is our first Tintin Approved rating, but it is a very low Tintin Approved rating due to that one problem which I've discussed, which does take me out of the book a little bit. But yeah, overall great book. Thanks everyone for watching, and next time we're going to be checking out Tintin and the Black Island, and it won't take as long to get out as this one did, I promise. So I'll catch you all later, and thanks everyone for watching Tintin series retrospective, The Broken Ear.